If you all could honor the 3-minute rule, that'd be really nice. Thank you. Laura Thomas.
Good evening, council members. Laura Thomas, Renewed Hope Housing Advocates. Doyle already told you of our opposition to these two appointees, so I'm going to speak just a bit about what we would expect for future appointees to the Planning Board. The key question for you to consider before you confirm any new appointments to the Planning Board is whether they're prepared to uphold city policy. Do they understand that the city's general plan, which includes the housing element passed by the council in 2012, requires us to build adequate housing, including affordable housing, to satisfy our regional housing needs? If they don't understand this concept, they cannot be competent planning board members and should not be appointed, and that's all that really matters. If they vote no against a project in one of the housing element sites, it's meaningless, because you as the council must approve any project that meets the zoning guidelines in the housing element. If the planning board becomes obstructionist, you bring a host of problems down upon yourselves. You'll run afoul of the state and of Renewed Hope. Besides, just plain not having a thorough review of these complicated projects in advance of your vote. The planning board has done a whole hell of a lot of work for you on all these projects. Last night, the two most recent appointees to the board, Ronald Curtis and Sandy Sullivan, voted against recommending the Encinal Terminals project. They did so based on their certainty that the projects were out of line with what the people they're acquainted with want. No more housing, less traffic. City planner Andrew Thomas suggested very nicely that since voting on that basis was probably pointless, that perhaps they could make recommendations to improve the project. But they refused. They're clearly not there to work on planning. They're just there to say no. Board member Lori Zupan, on the other hand, made numerous recommendations, including one for more parking capacity if necessary in the future. She has always been critical of development and traffic, yet she knows it'd be futile just to say no. She works to be open, productive, and creative. And those are the kind of board members we need, the ones we've had for a number of years. Last night, I thanked the board for how hard they worked to bring about good projects. Over a decade ago, the planning board did nothing but rubber stamp what the developer wanted or the city council wanted. But the last 8 to 10 years, the board has improved. It's thrown over its parochialism, and it actually works on shaping a vision. Their perspective has grown and shifted as the problems of Alameda have. So I want to remind you that the planning board appointees need to understand we aren't going back to the past, to the idyllic time in this town that was really steeped in some institutional racism in the form of Measure A. We don't intend to go back. Everybody is welcome here, we stated recently. We're not going to say no.
Thank you, Carrie Thompson, and then Patricia Young.